What's going on, everybody? Today we're going to be taking a look at 3 different decks I used to hit infinite rank this season. Now, a couple of things before we get into the decks. First off, I want to say that I think infinite this season was really easy compared to last season's, and the biggest reason for that is because there's a lot of bots on the ladder, which some people might like. You know, getting those free ranks could feel good for you, but for me personally, I do not like playing against bots on the ladder. I think it's extremely boring. Sometimes the bots literally just throw the game for you and just donate cubes for you. Like, they just do not try at all. So just keep that in mind when taking a look at these lists. I think these decks are really good, but I think hitting infinite on ladder is pretty easy right now. And that's not to take anything away from your achievement. You know, if you reached infinite rank for maybe the first or second time this season, you know, congrats. It's still definitely an achievement. I am not trying to demean you or, you know, anybody in that specific way, but I just want to say that bots are very rampant on the ladder right now. And the second thing is, this is just going to be a quick deck overview kind of video. No gameplay today, since I don't really feel like doing gameplay, to be honest with you. Like, once you hit infinite rank, there's no reason to like play the ladder since conquest mode exists now. So now that I hit infinite rank, I'm probably just going to be playing conquest from here on out. So that's why I'm not doing any gameplay. And yeah, let's just go ahead and get into the deck lists. So first up, this is the deck I used for the majority of my climb. Since I hit infinite rank last season, I reset back down to rank 73, and I played this, I want to say, I think all the way to 93. So basically played this from 70 to 90. This is a Phoenix Force deck using the newly released Season Pass card. It is a really fun card. It can be very powerful once you do get the correct tools to set it up. Now, this is a movement deck really based around Phoenix Force and Multiple Man. Now, I know there are different versions of this deck list that have like Shuri, Nimrod, and then like either Taskmaster or Arnim Zola. I think those decks might be a better version. I'm not 100% sure, to be honest with you. But with that being said, I think if you want just a clean, like, movement destroy hybrid Phoenix Force deck without like the Shuri nonsense, or maybe you don't even own Shuri, I think this is the best non-Shuri Phoenix Force deck that you can play right now. So basically, all you want to do is you want to destroy either Multiple Man or Human Torch, and then revive it with Phoenix Force and move it around on the last turn of the game. And usually play Heimdall as your big payoff finisher to put a lot of points on the board. Now, ideally, Multiple Man is going to be your best target for your Phoenix Force. Now, reviving the Human Torch can be really good, but the only thing is that he's a 1-cost card, and he dies to Killmonger, which there are a lot of Killmongers and Invisible Woman combos out there to combat against bounce decks, especially with Kitty Pryde. So ideally, you want to destroy and resurrect Multiple Man, but Human Torch is your backup plan. Now, this deck can really just output a lot of points, even if you don't destroy and resurrect your Multiple Man. Even if you draw your Multiple Man and Hulkbuster combo, you can have a 7-point Multiple Man that can move across the board. We have Shang-Chi, which is, I think, honestly, pretty essential for the most part in this current meta. Like, Shang-Chi is just always a good card. I think he's like the #1, like, best tech card in the game. Really, really good against a lot of decks right now. The only thing is he is kind of useless against those Shuri Nimrod decks. So that is kind of a tough matchup for you because you can't destroy Nimrod. If you destroy Nimrod, you're just going to be creating other copies of Nimrod on the board, which you do not want to do. So this is the deck list. Usually turn 1, you either want to play like Human Torch or skip. Maybe sometimes you can play Iron Fist, maybe if you have Multiple Man to follow up with on turn 2. But usually it's going to be Human Torch or skip. Second turn, ideally, you want to have your Multiple Man on turn 2. If not, you could play Carnage to destroy your Human Torch if you play Torch on 1. Or you could play Ghost Spider to move your Torch. You could also play Cloak. And then turn 3, kind of depends. If we get Multiple Man, you either want to buff it up with Hulkbuster or destroy it with the Venom. And then turn 4, you could do the same thing. Actually, it just depends. Like maybe the previous turn, maybe turn 3, you did Hulkbuster. Turn 4, you could do like Venom plus Iron Fist or something like that. And then turn 5, most of the time you want to be playing Phoenix Force if you did destroy either Multiple Man or Human Torch. And then turn 6 is usually going to be Heimdall most of the time. So that is the deck list I use for most of my climb. I'm still not like 100% sold on Phoenix Force. I think it is a decent card. It's a very niche card, similar to Nimrod, where Nimrod is a good card in very specific decks. I think the same thing can be said for Phoenix Force. The only thing is that this card just really sucks when you don't trigger its on reveal ability. If you are not aware, you do need to destroy something and revive it in order for this card to move. So let's say, for example, you did not destroy anything in the game and you just play Phoenix Force as a 5/6. It is not going to be able to move. It's just a 5/6 body on the board, and that feels really, really bad. Yeah, so you don't want to be doing that. I mean, sometimes, you don't always play this card, right? It kind of depends. And another thing to keep in mind is that Yondu is actually sort of a counter to this card in a way, because Yondu is going to destroy a card from your deck. So it could be a card that maybe you don't want to resurrect, like let's say like Iron Fist. Like you don't really care to resurrect Iron Fist. I guess you can, but you want to guarantee that you are going to resurrect either your Multiple Man or Human Torch. But if there are other cards like Yondu that will destroy something that could mess up your Phoenix Force, or maybe there's a bunch of squirrels on the board and your opponent plays a Killmonger, that could also mess up your Phoenix Force, because if there are multiple cards that are being destroyed, it is going to pick one at random, which is usually why you want to play Human Torch or Multiple Man in a lane by themselves. That way you guarantee you only destroy one card and you only revive that one card for your Phoenix Force. Next up, if you know me, you know I love my Silver Surfer decks. Now, this one is a little bit different. This is more of a control style Silver Surfer deck. Now, previously I did mention Invisible Woman and Killmonger. We are running this combo in this deck because I think it is necessary to combat those bounce decks, because they want to they usually tend to give you priority on the last turn of the game, which is not good. You want your opponent to reveal their Kitty Pryde and all their other one-cost cards first. That way your Killmonger can pop off. So Invisible Woman is a good way to counter those bounce decks. We have Brood, which is basically in every Silver Surfer deck. Nova to combo with the Killmonger. We got Daredevil to combo with Spider-Man. Actually, Spider-Man, instead of Sarah, we are running Spider-Man. I think Spider-Man is really good right now, especially since we also run Storm in this deck list. So usually what we're doing is we're playing like Storm on turn 3. We can follow up with a Juggernaut on turn 4 to push cards out of the Storm location. Or you could also follow up with a Groot. Groot is a little bit spicy. I think he might be a little bit slept on. But to be fair, he might get replaced by Jean Grey when she does release after this video comes out. But anyways, you could play Storm on turn 3. You could follow up with a Juggernaut on turn 4 or a Groot on turn 4. And then you can follow up with a Spider-Man on turn 5. And you will have effectively locked your opponent out of 2 out of the 3 locations, unless they have like Jeff or Doctor Doom or something like that. And I did have Jeff in this deck list before, because he is probably my favorite card in the game, to be honest. I think Jeff is one of the best cards in the game, if not the number one card in the game. That might be a hot take, but I'm just saying. I think Invisible Woman is kind of required to combo with the Killmonger right now. And sometimes it can be good to hide your Maximus as well, because Maximus is a 3/7, but you don't want your opponent to draw cards, so you can play Maximus behind your Invisible Woman, and his on reveal effect won't activate until the end of the game, where it essentially does not matter. Now, another spicy addition we have in this deck list is a Negasonic Teenage Warhead. Now, I will admit, this is a card I have not played a lot with myself. You can see I only have 5 boosters for her, and she's at blue border. But I wanted to experiment with it a little bit. It's a bit hit or miss, if I'm being honest with you guys. There's definitely a lot of other 3-cost cards that you can run in a Silver Surfer deck. You know, Cosmo's a good one. Mr. Fantastic is a good one. Maybe even Dazzler, Rogue, Shadow King. Like, there's so many good cards at the 3-cost slot. And, of course, Jean Grey is releasing, so the 3-cost slot is only going to get more competitive, and Silver Surfer decks are only going to get better. So, Negasonic Teenage Warhead, the reason I have her is to kind of tech against those high Evo decks that like to play really big bodies like Abomination or Hulk. I have been able to snipe a Hulk with this card and win the game that way, but other times she just doesn't do much. Like, sometimes she'll destroy like a 0 power Angela, or sometimes she'll destroy like a Hood, right, which is actually beneficial for your opponent. But sometimes maybe you don't destroy her and you just play her as a 3/5. You can play her behind the Invisible Woman. That way her ability doesn't pop off, and then you can buff her to 3/7 with Silver Surfer. Now, yeah, again, this card is a bit hit or miss. If I'm being honest, I'm probably going to be replacing either this card or Groot with Jean Grey once she comes out. So, yeah, stay tuned for some more Silver Surfer decks. And that's going to be it for this deck. Let's move on to the final one. Now, this last deck is the deck I used from the 90s to 100s. I think the Silver Surfer deck I played from like 90 to like 95, and then I played this from like 95 to 100. This is a Patriot deck. So, you know, I've always been a big fan of Patriot, but lately I haven't been playing it a lot. Just because Patriot's kind of been like figured out in a way, right? Like, there's not really a whole lot of ways you can innovate Patriot. I guess that can be. I guess there have been a couple new additions with like the Invisible Woman, which is very popular right now. The Iron Lad, which was released last season, and then Dazzler, which got recently buffed as well. But I originally started playing this deck just because there was a weekend mission for it, right, to get the 150 gold. But I found that I just kept winning with this deck. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to take this deck to infinite. So it's a fairly standard Patriot deck list, I suppose, outside of the Iron Lad. Although, you know, I have seen a lot more people putting Iron Lad into Patriot decks. It's not necessarily anything new, but it is new to me. So Iron Lad can copy the text of your deck's top card. So really, there's not a lot of bad hits for him. I guess the only thing is, like, Ultron is kind of risky because you don't want to copy your Ultron on turn 4 and fill up your entire board. But the thing is, if you have Ultron in your deck, like, just don't play Iron Lad, right? Now, usually you want to be copying things like the Patriot. He's just like a 4/6 Patriot. You can copy an Onslaught. You can copy Blue Marvel. Even copying Dazzler is not bad. Or you can copy a Mr. Sinister, because you will then spawn a 6-power Sinister clone, and that is 12 points for 4 energy, which is really insane. So Iron Lad has a ton of targets he can pop off. That he can pop off with if he copies. Now, of course, he can copy one of your no text cards, right? Like I've had him copy Wasp quite a few times, and that's still not necessarily a bad thing because he still has a 4/6 baseline. And if he copies a no text card, he is then eligible to be buffed by Patriot, so then he can go to a 4/8, and then if you copy Patriot with Mystique, he goes to a 4/10, so on and so forth, right? So not a lot of bad hits for Iron Lad in this deck list. And then we have, of course, Invisible Woman again. God, I cannot say her name correctly. Let's go with Sue, right? Her name is Sue. Let's go with Sue. So Sue can protect our Patriot and really all of our ongoing cards from Enchantress. She will take that hit from Enchantress for us, right? She'll be like our sacrificial lamb. She will take the hit for us, and she can also just kind of hide our game plan, right? Like it's really nice to keep your opponent guessing. Now, Patriot decks are fairly predictable, right? Like usually it's play whatever on turn 1, turn 2, Patriot on 3, Mystique on 4, Blue Marvel 5, and then like Ultron turn 6. Like that's usually like your main game plan with Patriot decks, at least this deck in particular. So Patriot decks are not necessarily super surprising, but there is always that little bit of doubt when you have hidden cards behind Invisible Woman. They're like, oh, did they draw this card? Did they play this card? And sometimes your opponent will just risk it, and you can end up winning more cubes that way by your opponent just making, dumb mistakes. And then we also have the Dazzler, which, Dazzler is actually really good in this deck list. So she recently got buffed. I think it was last month. She's now 3/2 with an ongoing ability that says +2 power for each location that's full on your side. And of course, with Ultron, we are able to fill up all the locations on the board. So she will effectively be a 3/6. And then on top of that, oh wait, no, actually she's a 3/8, my bad. A 3/8 because there's 3 locations. If you fill up all 3, it's +6 on top of her 2 power for a total of 8 power. So a 3/8 is no joke. And the fact that she's ongoing gives us an extra Mystique target to copy. And we also have another target for our Onslaught. So Onslaught just has a lot of things that he can double here. You got the Blue Marvel, you got the Patriot, you got the Dazzler, you got Mystique, which can copy another card, and Iron Lad, which could potentially copy another ongoing card. So this deck is just full of win conditions, and not to mention that if you hide your Ultron behind your Invisible Woman, behind Sue, god damn it, I can't say Invisible Woman. Okay, behind your Sue, your Sue Storm. If you hide your Ultron behind Sue Storm, then the Ultron drones will be safe from Killmonger out there. Yeah, so this deck full of win conditions, really, really good. Highly recommend you try this deck out and see how it goes for you. So those are the 3 decks I used to hit infinite rank this season. Try them out, maybe tweak them a little bit if you like, and let me know how it went for you down in the comments down below. And make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. I would really appreciate it. Oh, and follow me on Threads as well, which is the newest social media app. I've been using that a lot more than Twitter lately. I'm not sure how much longer I am going to be using Twitter. Maybe just check in on it every now and then, but I think Threads is probably going to be the main social media I use from here on out. So you can search me up there. I'm at jhugsplays, or I'll leave a link to it in the description down below as well. And join my Discord server while you're there as well. We'd like to share deck lists and just talk, talk Marvel Snap. Sometimes it's complaining, sometimes we're having fun, sometimes we're showing off our variants. Join the Discord. I would love to see you there. And that's going to be it from me, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Appreciate you. See you in the next one. Later.